Multiple national federations have filed official complaints against FIFA referees at this World Cup. Not one, multiple. In the same tournament, that has almost never happened before in the entire history of this competition. VAR is at its third World Cup. It was introduced to fix football's most controversial moments, to remove the human error that had cost teams goals, red cards, and entire tournaments. Instead, 2026 has produced more outrage, more fury, and more disbelief than any tournament before it. Goals erased by millimeters. A red card overturned by a single presidential phone call. A ball that may have been deflected by an overhead camera cable. And one nation whose manager went on live television and said the game was rigged. This is not a list of complaints. This is a pattern. And once you see it laid out from beginning to end, it is very hard to unsee. Start with the original promise. VAR was introduced to fix the moments that mattered most, to give referees a second look at incidents that happened too fast for the human eye to process in real time. The idea was clean and simple. Technology removes subjectivity. The correct call wins, every single time. That was the promise. Here is the reality. At this World Cup, there are two completely different standards operating under the same four letters. Offside is factual. Semi-automated body tracking technology measures it to the millimeter, with no human judgment involved at any stage of the process. But penalties and fouls are entirely subjective, the referee still decides, and VAR can only intervene when there is a clear and obvious error. Two completely different standards, one acronym, and the gap between them is where every argument at this tournament has been born. The 48-team format has made this considerably worse. More matches means more marginal decisions. More marginal decisions means more replays, shown simultaneously to hundreds of millions of viewers around the world, each one inviting frame-by-frame dissection of calls made in real time at full speed. The gap between what the technology can detect and what a human being inside a stadium can process with their own eyes has never been wider in the history of this sport. FIFA's head of refereeing, Pierluigi Collina, has publicly defended the decisions throughout the tournament. His position: unfounded allegations have no place in the sport, and nobody should question the integrity of the officials. The problem is that multiple national federations, Belgium, Ecuador, Egypt, have done exactly that in writing, with official complaints filed through official channels. When there is a paper trail, it stops being a perception problem. This is the debate VAR was supposed to end. Instead, it is the loudest, angriest argument of the tournament. And it starts with the margins you would need a microscope to measure. Iran versus Egypt. Group stage, June 26th, Seattle, 93rd minute. Shoja Khalilzadeh bundles the ball home from close range. The stadium erupts. For about 30 seconds, Iran are through to the knockout stage for the first time in the entire history of their program. Then VAR reviews. The automated body tracking lines appear on screen. Offside, by a margin replay, suggest was barely a millimeter. The goal is ruled out. Iran are eliminated. 1 millimeter, just gone, in a frozen frame. Colombia versus Portugal. Group stage. Davinson Sanchez heads a stoppage time winner that would give Colombia a perfect group record. The assistant's flag goes up immediately. VAR confirms. Offside. The margin. A single toe over the line. Measured by a computer. Technically correct in every regard. The goal does not stand. Ghana versus England. Group stage. Foxborough. 79th minute. Ezri Konsa catches Ghana's Prince Kwabena Adu in the knee inside the penalty area. The referee waves play on. VAR does not recommend a review. England draw 0-0 and advance from the group on goal difference. The denied penalty could have changed the entire group. Ghana's head coach Carlos Queiroz afterward. VAR went for coffee. Now here is what connects all three. None of these calls were necessarily wrong by the letter of the law. The technology is precise enough now to detect margins that were physically unverifiable 5 years ago. But that precision has created a problem nobody at FIFA has adequately answered. Decisions that are technically correct and emotionally catastrophic. made at a speed and to a standard no human being inside a stadium can verify in real time. When you can eliminate a nation from a World Cup by the width of a single toe, the technology is working exactly as designed. The question is whether it should be, and that question gets considerably more complicated when you look at which teams the close calls seem to keep benefiting. Start with the Messi foul. Group stage opener against Algeria. Messi scores a hat trick, but in the 32nd minute, he rakes his studs across Algeria, captain Issa Mandi. No card. VAR reviews and clears the incident. ESPN's analyst calls it 100% a red card on live television. Algeria's federation files an official complaint with FIFA's refereeing commission. That is where the pattern begins. Round of 16, Argentina versus Egypt. Egypt lead. Then, VAR traces a foul by Egyptian defender Marwan Atia on Lisandro Martinez 20 seconds earlier on the other side of the pitch and disallows an Egyptian goal on that basis. Late in the same match, Egypt have 2 penalty appeals waved away. VAR does not recommend a review for either. Argentina score in the 93rd minute to complete a 3-2 comeback. Egypt's coach Hossam Hassan: "We have not seen respect or fair play." Forward. Mostafa Zico goes further on the record. "It was a rigged game." Quarter-final. Argentina versus Switzerland. Switzerland equalized to make it 1-1 in the 72nd minute. Then, VAR intervenes using the new mistaken identity rule, determining that Breel Embolo went to ground before contact to earn his yellow card. Embolo already had a yellow. The second booking becomes a red. He is sent off in tears. Switzerland play the remaining minutes with 10 men. Argentina win 3-1 in extra time. Switzerland's coach Murat Yakin: "The 50-50 call seemed to favor Argentina. Individually, each of these decisions has a defensible explanation. The Messi foul was fast. The Egyptian build-up foul was technically reviewable. Embolo did appear to go down early, but Switzerland's Granit Xhaka said the dressing room was silent afterward. And when the pattern is consistent enough that opposing coaches start naming it out loud in press conferences with cameras running, it stops looking like coincidence. Messi's foul, Egypt's disallowed goal, Embolo's red card, 5 matches, 4 countries with grievances, 1 team in the semifinals. But the single moment that turned a controversy into a full-blown crisis happened entirely off the pitch. July 1st. USA striker Folarin Balogun is sent off in the round of 32 against Bosnia after a VAR review, stepping awkwardly on a defender's ankle. Unintentional by every account, but a red card is a red card, and FIFA's own competition regulations are explicit. Automatic 1-game suspension. No review mechanism, no discretion. Mandatory. The day after the match, Donald Trump calls FIFA President Gianni Infantino directly. The call is confirmed by the New York Times, the Associated Press, and ABC. The United States government submits additional evidence to FIFA. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is also cited as applying pressure. And on July 5th, FIFA's disciplinary committee suspends the suspension under Article 27 of the Disciplinary Code, a provision never previously applied to a red card issued during the tournament itself. Balogun plays against Belgium. Belgium call it astonishing. UEFA releases a statement describing it as unprecedented, incomprehensible, and unjustifiable, crossing a red line. Even Sepp Blatter, FIFA's disgraced former president, resurfaces to say, "Red cards are not overturned by political phone calls." Gary Neville: "It absolutely stinks." Roy Keane: "A pals act, plain and simple." Trump posts on Truth Social taking personal credit for the reversal. Then comes the punchline. USA lose to Belgium 4-1 anyway. England's Jarell Quansah receives a red card in the round of 16. Thomas Tuchel sarcastically suggests that maybe Harry Kane should call Trump to get the ban lifted. FIFA responds by extending Quansah's suspension by an additional game. The same organization that bent its own rules for one player immediately came down harder on the very next case. Once you apply a rule selectively, you no longer have a rule, you have a favor. And at a World Cup co-hosted by the country that made the call, that favor has a name. And then, as if the tournament needed one more thing, England versus Norway, July 11th, quarter-final. First half stoppage time. Norway's goalkeeper takes a goal kick. As the ball travels, its trajectory visibly changes midair. The goalkeeper, Holland, and coach Solbakken all furiously confront the referee at halftime, pointing at the overhead cables suspended above the pitch, cables used to carry the robotic camera systems. The rule is clear. If the ball makes contact with an overhead wire, play stops and possession goes to a drop ball. Instead, the ball reaches Jude Bellingham, who slots home the equalizer. The goal stands. England win 2-1 and advance to the semi-final. FIFA releases an official statement citing connected ball technology. The ball's internal sensor registered no spike in pressure at the moment the trajectory appeared to change. No contact with the cable. Goal valid. Technically, FIFA have an answer. The problem: multiple camera angles show the ball passing extremely close to the wire, and the change in direction was real enough to send an entire bench into a frenzy at halftime. Even if the sensor is right, and it may well be, the optics are a disaster. A deeper question goes unanswered. Should matches be held in venues where overhead cables can plausibly interfere with play at all? Kalina's position throughout this tournament has been consistent. The officials are not corrupt. The technology is reliable. Unfounded allegations threaten the integrity of the sport. He is not entirely wrong. But Egypt's complaint, Belgium's complaint, UEFA's statement, Tuchel's joke, Kwanzaa's extended ban, and Blatter's intervention all point to the same reality. FIFA's credibility problem is not manufactured. It is earned, decision by decision, across an entire tournament. Egypt's coach said his team had been treated unfairly. Kalina said unfounded allegations have no place in football. Both can be true simultaneously, and that is FIFA's actual worst-case scenario. So step back and look at the full picture. A tournament with more official federation complaints than any World Cup in living memory. A red card overturned by a single presidential phone call. Goals erased by margins, invisible to the naked eye. A ball that may or may not have touched an overhead camera cable. And a pattern of contested decisions breaking in the same direction for the same team across 5 consecutive matches. VAR was supposed to make football fairer. At this World Cup, it has made football louder, angrier, and more distrustful than at any point in the modern era. The technology works, the governance around it does not. Which decision do you think was the most scandalous? Was VAR a mistake for the sport? Drop your verdict below. Subscribe and stay close. This tournament still has a semi-final featuring Argentina to come. Expect more of exactly this.